Planning permission's a scary thing for a lot of people, and it's contentious. But there's a very good reason why a lot of those planning policies are in place. It's to protect the UK as we know and love it, with all the green open space that everybody enjoys walking in and having a view of.
My top tips for obtaining the right planning permission, there's a lot of them, but the key tips for me really are: understand the context of the plot. So realise what you've got. None of us can find the dream plot. I mean, I've searched years for the dream plot. I've never found it. So work in a context environment with the plot. Design a house that suits that plot from a point of view of street scene, relationship with neighbours, relationship with the environment that's around you.
It is really important that planning policy is there in the first place, and I think if you respect that from the start, then you can allow the design to incorporate the underlying guidance that's within planning policy, so that you're sensitive to a site, to a location. You're not impacting on wider users of that space, so you're not creating something that's totally incongruous with the rest of the area and sticks out like a sore thumb. You're creating something that enhances that space, and planning policy supports that. It's encouraging of that type of design.
If you're going for something contentious, there needs to be quality in the design. So it can't just be your basic run-of-the-mill architect. Speak to the planning department, get them on side from day one.
It's an application like any other, like having a mortgage. So there's an element of due diligence and policies terms and conditions that you have to follow. And I think that's really important, that it shouldn't be scary. What you should have is a team around you that understands what you're trying to achieve. I would stress that early engagement with the local authority planning department is critical if it's a contentious site. If it's a straightforward site and the advice of the professionals is it should be straightforward, I would still advise doing a pre-application, just to understand where the council sits from a planning department on your initial concept.
It's always best, if you're going to have pre-application discussions with the planners, that you go with as much information as possible. It's quite often you can do a pre-app review and give them very limited information, and they can just straight away, because they don't have enough information to say yes or no, you can actually do more harm than good.
My advice would be to ensure that somebody on your team, whether it's your architect or your planning consultant, knows the planning policies inside out for that area, for your site, for what you're trying to achieve, because that's the basis of it. Now, it doesn't mean to say the planning officer is going to agree, but you need to be coming from a realistic position to start with, and it's often sort of, nitty gritty, the depths of local authority policy, but it's worthwhile making sure that you've got good advice so that you get to grips there, because that's the route to getting, an ambitious consent and to getting what you want.
Another key thing that we get our clients to do is speak to their neighbours. Is before the application gets submitted, go with the drawings, a bottle of wine and some chocolates, and actually show them what you're going to do. Get them on side, because what will happen is it'll be submitted for planning, they'll get a letter, and suddenly they'll find out from somebody else that you're building this house next door to them, or this big extension. It's always better to go to them and speak to them. And one thing that people don't realise is that you can actually put a letter of support in. So you've got the opportunity to object and comment, but you can put in support. So if you can get your neighbours on side to actually support you, it's really, really valuable.
To spend time on actually putting a really, really good, strong presentation forwards. I see so many applications that have failed purely on the presentation. So you need to spend time, your architect or designer will want to spend time, and you should spend time on just putting the very best planning application together you can. You owe it to yourself to do that.